What's up, everyone? I must apologize for being missing for the last couple months. A lot has happened. I relocated to Northern California, but there's this little guy in the tree. We woke up this morning to a lot of snow. I gotta show you guys this. Check it out. Look at, there's a little squirrel. How cute. Anyways, today I did want to talk about my last PRP treatment, specifically with Dr. Hauser. When I first got there, I was so overwhelmed. I literally started crying when I walked to the facility, just at the idea that my symptoms and pain would finally be validated after almost 7 years of suffering with debilitating pain, which progressed to dizziness, nausea, and pretty much all over body aches, fatigue. So the whole experience was overwhelming. Dr. Hauser was amazing. He really does address the whole person, and he really does care. His subjective was more like, are you carrying any emotional guilt? Like, are you around toxic people? It was really just addressing me as an entire person, because as we know, stress highly affects our physical health. So I really appreciated him addressing all of that. He even gave me a book by two Christian counselors. They are husband and wife. It's called The Missing Commandment, Love Yourself. And I could link it down below if you're interested. It's like a workbook to work through all of the emotional aspect of coping and healing, because when we heal, we really need to just focus on all around our environment, our stress, our physical activity, our nutrition. All of that is very important. The whole entire staff were incredibly friendly. It was like, I had plenty of tears of joy, but it was like tons of laughter. Dr. Hauser is so funny. So I was there a total of 6 hours, which seems like a really long time, and it was. He also prayed with me and addressed my faith. And yes, I am a Christian, so it was nice to be able to have someone with the similar beliefs and that could pray with me, because that's what I believe in. And just, like I said 100 times, he addressed the whole person. He was encouraging. He gave me hope. He looked at my previous DMX, and then he did another DMX, and he said that the 3 PRP treatments that I had prior to coming to see him, that they made a big difference. He said I'm 50% better. However, I was a little disappointed when I actually got my DMX report from his facility, because it did not have specific measurements like my previous DMX did. So there was no real objective comparison. For instance, if I had 5 millimeters of translation at C1, C2, previously, I was hoping to get solid objective information from the next DMX that he did, because it was $1,200, I think, or something like that. So his DMX just said there was movement, which means this ligament is destroyed or damaged, but it didn't say how much movement was there. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to get that to have a better comparison. So as far as the actual treatment, once they decided on what I would be getting, I'm not really sure how he came to the conclusion, but he wanted to do Prolotherapy instead of PRP. So this was my first Prolotherapy, which means it's dextrose and not the platelet-rich plasma, which is the PRP. And he does a significant amount of injection. The previous PRP injections I had were about 20 to 30 injections. And at Dr. Hauser's office, I think he said I received between 100 to 150. I ended up doing my cervical as well as half of my upper thoracic, and he also went out into like the shoulders. It was much more painful than my PRP injections, but the worst part was after the injections. When I sat up, I could not even put my shirt on. Like, it got more and more painful. It was like stinging. It was swollen. I had like little, my husband called them eggs, like little egg bumps. and I couldn't raise my arms to put on my shirt. So luckily I had a zip up little hoodie that I just put on without my bra and without a shirt because I couldn't lift my arms up.
Just got done with our treatment. How are you feeling?
Terrible.
In a lot of pain from the injections right now.
Severe pain. It hurt a lot. And I initially refused medication because I never take pain meds. I only take them if I'm incredibly desperate, and this was one of those times. But I had previously told him that I don't need any, so I went through and got all the injections, but then when I sat up and realized how painful it was, and I still had to get to the hotel, and who knows how much more swelling I would get, and the next day I had to get back on the plane to fly all the way from Florida to California. So I ended up requesting some pain meds as I was leaving, and he wrote me a prescription. And the prescription that Dr. Hauser wrote was unfortunately not able to be filled because it was too many days. Whatever it was like the state law, they can only give it for 3 days, and he prescribed it for 5. And then I asked my husband to ask the pharmacist if we could just have the 3 days instead of the 5, like, or even 1 pill, anything, just to get me on that plane to get me home. And unfortunately, we were not able to get the pain medicine, but I did have him pick up some Tylenol, which was cleared by the doctor. It won't interfere with the inflammation process. So I took the Tylenol, I brought my heating pad to the hotel, and I plugged it in, I laid on heat. I had him bring me a Snickers ice cream. And Dr. Hauser was a dream, everything I expected and more. He is so caring. He has like the perfect name for his medical facility. I've never met any doctor as caring as Dr. Hauser. And then after I ate and had my ice cream and I was laying on heat, I started to relax a little bit, even though I was still in a ton of pain, but I was able to sleep through the night. And by the time I woke up in the morning, my pain was down a lot. So I wore my neck brace on the plane flight, and I was able to get home safely without causing any exacerbations or without too much discomfort. I was just super careful not to move, not to lift anything, made it home, and just started to try to recover. But again, I was moving, so I tried to pack a box a day, just very light packing. I returned to work, and that's what's nice about this procedure is there's no real downtime. You can continue to do what you're doing. You just have to be a little bit more careful and make sure you rest and use heat. So I didn't end up using any more Tylenol. I laid on heat. I started going to the infrared sauna a couple days later because you don't want to go into a hot tub or a bath or anything with stagnant water for at least 48 hours, I think is what they recommended. I ended up doing the hot sauna, the infrared sauna, which increases circulation and helps to relax the muscles. And little by little, I started feeling better. And then 2.5 weeks out from that, I went to my previous doctor here in California. He's in LA. And I got another PRP injection. And this time I did the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. Because I do have pain throughout my entire spine. And then a couple of days later, we moved to Tahoe. So I have had a few flare-ups just from simple things like making Play-Doh. I was stirring it, my arm gets super tired, and then the whole arm gets like this neurological pain in my wrist. Like I thought I slept wrong. I couldn't move my arm in the morning, and my husband had reminded me that the night before I was making Play-Doh and I was complaining when I was stirring how bad it was hurting, and I had to have him take over and finish stirring the Play-Doh. So that hurt for about 4 days, and then if I don't do anything and I rest, a lot of bed rest, I have to use ice a few times alternating with heat. And then another time I went on a hike. It was like 3.5 miles, and that was like a week out from my procedure. 2 procedures back to back, 2 weeks apart, which is pretty intense. And so then I ended up having a lot of pain and having to rest for about 4 days to get back to my normal, like, no pain at rest. So there was a year in between my procedures. So the first 3, I noticed a really big improvement as far as decreasing my resting pain, because my resting pain, no joke, was like 8 out of 10, 24/7 for, it felt like about a year. Like, it was so intense. I was miserable, very irritable, just angry, couldn't go anywhere, needed to rest or lay my head down or wear a brace, but I didn't want to always do that. So I tried to continue working, try to continue taking care of my kids, going through the motions, but it was incredibly difficult and I was incredibly miserable. So after those 3, I did notice a reduction in my symptoms, as well as being able to do more laundry. I still can't really do dishes. It's really hard because my hands have to be extended, which is really hard, and then I have to kind of like lean over the sink, which hurts my low back. So as far as the last 2 treatments, I would say I feel like I'm kind of back to my baseline, which is a good sign. So I think the next month or 2, I'll start noticing more changes. I have noticed a decrease in nausea and dizziness, and I think that's because I've also gotten rid of all the toxins in my home, which were making me super dizzy and nauseous, as well as I've been getting more fresh air. I can go outside now whenever I want because we have a yard. I've been going on more walks, which is incredibly important just to get my body moving and like fresh air and circulation going. And then I've also eliminated a lot of stress by moving away from stressful situations. I did not have enough family support for my situation. So living here, I no longer have to even worry about depending on them. I have me, my kids, and my husband, who's been so supportive. So he's changed a lot too. He now protects me from toxic situations. He can now advocate for me and understand the severity of my condition to an extent. I needed someone to give me a little bit of slack and compassion and just validation. Like, literally the main reason I wanted to go see Dr. Hauser, and I flew from California to Florida all the way across the United States and ended up paying thousands of dollars, was to hear that my condition was pretty severe. Like, I needed someone besides myself to validate that, so I didn't think I was just going crazy or just believing something that wasn't true. So overall, I think Dr. Hauser's treatment was worth it. I survived all those injections. He was hilarious, sweet as can be. He held my hands and just let me like pour out my heart to him with all of the stuff I was carrying heavily. I don't know very many doctors, let alone people like that. So that was pretty incredible. As far as future PRP treatments, I was planning on going to get more in March, but with all of the flare-ups, I feel like it's best just to let my body heal a little bit more, plus the coronavirus. So I don't really want to be flying anywhere. I'm trying to stay healthy, and I hope all of you guys are too. I have been wanting to make a video on modalities because obviously we have to figure out how to cope when we are in this much pain. So my next video, I'm going to show all of my tools, all of my modalities, all of my neck braces, and everything that I've used, all my tips and tricks to kind of keep the pain down enough to continue to function. And that'll be in my next video. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And if you want to be notified when my next video is live, hit the bell. You can follow me on social media. I'm at Crunchy Neck Mom on Instagram and Danette Laura on Facebook. If you have any questions, leave them below. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for connecting. I'm here to help you, and you also help me by letting me know that we're in this together. And if there's anything I can do to help, it really fulfills me. And this is my passion and this is my journey, and I really want to be committed to this YouTube channel. Again, I'm a beginner, so this whole editing and all that, I'm not really familiar with. I still need to learn a lot. So anyways, I hope you guys all have a lovely day. Stay safe, stay healthy, take your vitamins. All right, bye guys.